Hello, welcome to the Mantra College. I'm Harinamananda, substituting. We're going to read more from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We're up to the 15th verse, and it goes a little something like this. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadatam Dhananjaya Ponjam Dhammo Mahasakham Bhima Karma Vikodara. Translation. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesh in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses of the living entity is also part and parcel of his senses. So that's an amazing point. Because this book is about yoga. Yoga means to connect to the Supreme while controlling the mind and the senses. If you cannot control your mind and senses, there's no question of connecting to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, a name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Rishikesh, meaning the control of the senses. So, everything that we do needs to have some purpose or some control. Some people do this hatha yoga and they end up in the Himalayas or in some forest somewhere, and they just shut off the senses. Don't look at anything, don't hear anything, don't taste anything, don't smell anything. Because usually the senses distract us from the purpose of life. So many distractions are there. We know it. You drive down a freeway and so many billboards ready to distract you. You walk into a shopping center or a supermarket. And why do they put the milk and the bread at the back? So you can walk past all the distractions and try and end up buying things that you don't even need or wanted. Because just by the senses seeing them, they create desire. So a yogi tries to control the senses and tries to focus on the goal of life, which is to connect us, the spirit soul, to the Supreme Soul. That's what yoga is really about. So, bhakti-yoga, there's a verse saying, Savapati vini muktam tat paneten namamalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchite. So, that Rishikesh is there again. So, the meaning of this verse is that by giving up all designations or labels on this material body, which are temporary. I am man, I'm woman, I'm young and old. Our job, our gender, it's all subject to change. People can change even their gender. They can change their nationality. They can change their taste in music. They can change so many things. But what stays the same through all these changes? That's the soul. So once we get rid of all these labels, the only thing that's left is the eternal soul. And what's the designation of the soul? Is to be a lover of the Supreme, of the Absolute Truth. So by removing that, and also by getting rid of any reactions, every action in this world has a reaction. It's called karma. And that's what pretty much you'll see later in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 8, text 3. Karma is defined as those actions pertaining to the development of the next material body. So we've had many bodies before. Birth, death, the cycle of birth and death. So at death, you get another body. But the goal is not to take birth again. The goal is to be eternal. No more death, no more birth, actually. No more old age, no more disease. It's unnatural for the soul to go through these sufferings. It's completely unnatural. We need our natural life again. A life that's eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. So how's that done? Rishikena Rishikesha. By engaging our senses in the service of the master of the senses. That is called bhakti-yoga. Bhakti means loving and devotion. Love doesn't mean you just say, I love you. No, you got to do something. So, as we said, Rishikesh, or another name for the Supreme, means the proprietor or the controller of the senses. So, we have different senses. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. How are we going to engage such things in absolute truth? Well, you're doing it right now. You engage in your hearing, in hearing the knowledge of the Supreme through Bhagavad Gita. So congratulations. We can talk about the Supreme Absolute Truth, and we can even offer flowers to Krishna and smell the remnants of that offering. Or offering incense. You've seen in temples in India that they have a form of Krishna and they offer incense, they offer flowers. And then you smell that, you get purified from your material reaction or contamination, and the soul gets woken up. And also by the sense of touch. Usually touch is involving like doing work, doing activity. You could be cleaning somewhere, you could be walking somewhere, you could you do some service in some form which is pleasing to the Absolute Truth. My favorite is dancing. Dancing is so good, especially when you have this Krishna chanting. You probably checked out on the Mantra College the videos of the latest mantra music there. Some of it's a bit dancing, some of it's meditative. So if you feel like dancing when you hear this music that we're putting out, feel free, because that dancing is on the spiritual platform. It's on the platform of connecting to the Absolute Truth. But out of all the senses to control, a yogi needs to control the senses. The hardest one is the tongue. The tongue wants to vibrate and wants to taste nice things. So what a bhakti yogi does, he cooks the most delicious preparations, vegetarian cuisine, offers it to Krishna with love and devotion, and takes the remnants. He becomes Krishnized. He becomes spiritualized. And that becomes food not just for the body, but for the soul. And by chanting the Maha Mantra, the names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then one's misconceptions of the self are completely removed, and one can actually be revealed. It gets revealed, the Absolute Truth gets revealed to you. And in this way you can control all the senses really quickly. So let's continue on. The impersonalists cannot account for the senses of living entities, and therefore they're always anxious to describe all living entities as senseless or impersonal. So we need activity. We're not dead stones without senses. Something that doesn't have sense is pretty much a dead stone. So that's what impersonalism is. It's trying to kill the living being and to try and make everything dead and void. The Lord is situated in the hearts of all living entities and directs their senses. But he directs in terms of the surrender of living entity. And in the case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. So that's our goal. We're trying to be completely purified. Then the Absolute Truth, Krishna, he guides us in a way that we can never experience misery ever again. Here on the battlefield Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name is Rishikesh. The Lord has different names according to his different activities. For example, his name is Madhusudan because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govinda because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is Vasudeva because he appeared as the son of Vasudeva. His name is Devaki Nandan because he accepted Devaki as his mother. His name is Yashodanandan because he awarded his childhood pastime to Yashoda at Vrindavan. His name is Parthasarathi because he worked as a charioteer for his friend Arjuna. Similarly, his name is Rishikesh because he gave direction to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So some say, oh, your God is different to my God. No, God is one, just different names. Just like there's one sun in the sky, but in different countries there's a different name. God has unlimited names according to its unlimited qualities, or unlimited relationships, like we have here. Krishna is a person, just like you and me, but he's the Supreme Person. And what is the question of showing love if there's no personality? You can't show love to a thing, to a dead stone. No. There needs to be reciprocation. It can't be all one. No, this relationship means there's the lover and the beloved. So the supreme lovable object is Krishna. And by connecting, one can experience the perfection of life by fulfilling the heart's desires. Because Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart and he knows what you're going through. The troubles, the stresses. So he's the best, he's the closest friend to turn to. And that's what Arjuna is doing here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is referred to as Dhananjaya in this verse because he helped his elder brother in fetching wealth when it was required by the king to make expenditures for different sacrifices. Similarly, Bhima is known as Vikodara because he could eat as ferociously as he could perform Herculean tasks, such as killing the demon Hidimba. So the particular types of conch shell blown by the different personalities on the side of the Pandavas, beginning with the lords, were all very encouraging to the fighting soldiers. On the other side, there were no such credits, nor the presence of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Director, nor that of the Goddess of Fortune. So they were predestined to lose the battle, and that was the message announced by the sounds of the conch shells. So we're here in one of the most amazing events in the history of this planet. And as we read earlier, that Bhishma has blown his conch shell. He's like a lion, and he wanted to give his grandson Duryodhana some joy because Duryodhana was so scared when he saw the arrangement of the Pandavas, and also with having Krishna on their side in such a holy place as Kurukshetra. So then Krishna straight away blew his conch shell against Bhishma's one to counteract to show pretty much that you're going to lose. And it's really funny because Krishna is playing the role as a charioteer, as a subordinate to the Pandavas, even though his position as the Supreme Personality of God is not lost. That's just his transcendental pleasure to be a servant of his devotee. He's very soft. Just like the Prime Minister of some country. There was one story, and the Prime Minister of England was supposed to meet some minister from another country. So he came, and he was, I've come to meet the Prime Minister. And the secretary says, just wait here. He's just in an important meeting. He'll be with you soon. 1 hour goes past, 2 hours goes past. What's going on? So this foreign minister, he goes to look through the keyhole, and the Prime Minister is playing as a horse for his grandson, who's playing on his back. So it's not like the Prime Minister of England has lost his position as the Prime Minister, and now this little 3-year-old boy who's riding on top of him like a horse has now become the Prime Minister. No. The position's still the same, but both are enjoying. The Prime Minister is enjoying, and the grandchild is enjoying, riding on top of his grandfather. So similarly, Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, out of love and affection for his pure devotees who are purified and just are fully dedicated to him, he likes to serve them. In the material world, there's a competition of exploitation, trying to get on top of each other. But in the spiritual world, there's a competition of service. Everyone is trying to push each other up. There's no envy there. So that's what the Pandavas represent. They represent virtue, non-enviness. But Duryodhana's side, they represent envy and viciousness. So when you're on the side of Krishna and you give your senses to his service and pleasure, he takes control and you become victorious. We'll continue on more. See you next time.